So welcome. Oh, I was not jumping on. Okay, welcome to another. I don't know what I was waiting for now. Exploration into consciousness with the Earth Nouveau Hub. And today we're going to talk about bodies. Why this has been coming up is because I've been hearing quite a few stories about people having issues with their bodies, and we talked about bodies before and everything. But also myself, I'm going through certain things I have to start looking at, which I've been trying to avoid for a little bit. And, this brought up that idea to talk about bodies and, what's the fitness of our own physical vehicle, and how much are we actually looking after the body, or what sort of ways are there to look after it? And let's just see what wants to come up today. And of course, we all know there is so much going on energetically, and this is the thing, I think lots of people, and I do include myself into it, I just often brush it off to, it's the energy, and I'm not really investigating any further. I'm thinking, okay, well, it's an upgrade, and then what, until the body really starts screaming. And I wonder how much of those screams we not even going to listen to, and just brush it off, right?
I mean, I think just culturally, we've been trained to give our body power away, right? To like the medical institutions. I look at my parents, and like to them, like what the doctor says is that goes, right? And they're starting to sort of vary that with their own intuition and practice, but I just see how much power that has been given away through our culture. How many people are on all different types of medication, right, for years and years and years. So I think our ability to tune in to our bodies, it's always there, right? And we just have to take that power and talk to our bodies. They're a part of us.
Yeah. So what kind of body talk do you guys do? Is there anything in particular that works for you? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I literally just talk to the body, and say, okay, so what you want to eat and all of that. But sometimes, the messages are not necessarily clear. And I think, Sandrine said that in the last show as well. Sometimes the body is a trickster, because it's not the body talking to you, but the programs are talking to you. And they could be the victim program, it could be the rebel program, it could be any kind of program that just says, okay, it's going to be okay, don't worry about it, and everything's gonna work out. And sometimes we do need intervention. And I hear you, Tanya, and I'm a big fan of, intuitively knowing what your body requires. And what I've experienced is that often if I just go and see somebody, be this now an alternative practitioner or medical, conventional medicine, it's almost like whatever advice is given, it can be used either as, no, that doesn't work for me, but at least it's a confirmation on some level for yourself. So I see a doctor as an extended communication with my body. And
I'm certainly not saying don't go see a doctor.
Yeah. No,
I'm just saying there's like a checks and balances. But I like what you're saying about that, Martina, because it's like it's another perspective, right? It's another opinion of someone who's had training but doesn't have the intuitive nature. So there's a balance there.
Yeah. And this is where the balance comes in, where you then look at the external and you look at the internal and you create that balance. And I think this is one of those things that keeps coming up, you know, where I am. It's like, no, there is no right or wrong way. There is no such thing as just the internal, the inward journey is the only journey. No, you have to work. You literally have to work with the external world as well and see how you can bring it together.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been at the doctor more more in the last 8 weeks than I, have really in a long time, because I fractured my foot and sprained my ankle and sprained my knee. So, that healing process it just takes time. So, I've had to have a lot of patience with myself and with my body, and just give it the time that it needs to do the healing.
So what has it brought up for you going through that process, other than, patience?
Yeah, I mean, I think really it was almost like an invitation to just slow down and tune in and recalibrate, because I think there's so many energy changes that are happening right now that we do need to just sort of take the time to really listen, right? Whether it be to our bodies, or whether it be to the earth, whether it be to the flow of energy, to our spirit. I mean, I think as we're at the beginning of this next solar cycle of higher frequency energy and, greater frequency ability to awaken, we all really need to just tune in more deeply. And I think listening to the body is a really great place to start, right? I mean, I think about how easy it is to just sort of like rush around and do what we need to do, instead of just taking a minute, right? And breathing and just checking in. When I was in Egypt, I saw 3 people fall off horses. And I thought, wow, that's a little unsafe, right? For these like people who are leading these horses to start galloping, right? But there was a moment where I happened to be riding by on a camel when I saw this, and there was nothing I could do at the moment, but there were a lot of people around this girl who fell off a horse, and she just sort of like went flying. And it turned out that she broke her wrist, but all of these people were just sort of like grabbing her and trying to get her up and get her up and get her moving. It's like, wait a minute, just give her a minute to take a little inventory of her body before she starts like walking on something that might be injured, you know what I mean? So like when we do start, we fall in, where we trip, where we're, like on the ground all of a sudden, just take a minute and breathe and feel all your body parts before you jump up and get going again. And that's my advice from someone who's fallen a number of times recently. So
fabulous. Sandrine, what's your take on body and maintaining the fitness of it?
Well, for me, it's very, as I'm a tall person, I come with all these ailments of being a tall person, that nothing is really made for tall persons, everything is just low. Even toilet seats, it's like, I would prefer higher toilet seats so I can sit comfortably and not have to grab something to get up again. But okay. The relationship to my body, and I also resonate a little bit with what Tanya said before, is that I actually grew up in a sense that because you are so tall, as everyone, you also have to be strong. And even if you are a girl, you don't come crying. So because, you're just going to hurt your leg and you're going to hurt this. And unless you have to carry your head underneath your shoulder, there is nothing. So that's why I was, as a child, running around for 2 weeks with a broken wrist. Because apparently I had nothing. I was just like, this will go away. Well, no, it didn't go away. And this is something that also came up later on, is that I didn't pay attention to my body. I didn't pay attention to the fact that my body grew faster than anything or the people around me. I was then shipped to a physiotherapist who said, well, you're a little bit chubby, you need to lose weight and you need to do sports. Well, this is exactly what was wrong with it, because, through the sports, I was injured more because of the fact my body was just growing faster than anybody else, and I had no time to catch up with a proper treatment, with a proper physical exercise. I just had to catch up. And at one stage, I just said, leave me alone. I will go and swim. Because swimming was really good, because swimming, I couldn't injure myself. I did it at my own pace. I did not have to run like an idiot after a ball or a basketball or whatever. So but that was something because my body told me to do something that would help me and not something that other people would tell me to do. In later years, I found to yoga because of the fact that my lower back was just so weak that I had constant lumbago and constant pain, and I didn't want to be hooked up on pain medication. So I picked up yoga for myself. I'm completely autodidactic, and I taught myself yoga through YouTube, and that is where I'm so happy that the internet exists. And this is how I developed further on and further on. Even after my car accident, the third day after the car accident, I went to my mat. Although I couldn't move at all, I was screaming because of pain, but I said, if I don't do it, I know I will not get up anymore. And this is how, again, I moved into it lately, because I noticed that something was from inside. I was not feeling well. I went to a nutritionist to check up on, if there is maybe something with my blood. So we did the whole Shazam on blood screening. And what was really good, and this is where I'm now actually taking supplements, although I'm a person who doesn't take any medication, I take supplements because I noticed how much they help me and how much they are good for me in this transitional phase of going through also losing weight and, looking more after my cardio, looking more after my physical body in a sense, which then also helps me to be more stable in my emotional body, right? Because when I'm feeling good and I'm not in pain and I'm not exhausted, this is how I can also continue emotionally to cope better with many situations. So this, first of all, this being taught as a child that no, unless you are really hurt and whatever, there is nothing. Maybe it runs in my family, I don't know, but I hear also from other people it was the same, especially also for tall people, because we are always being looked at being the stronger, but sometimes we just want to be that tall and a little gray mouse and don't want to deal with anybody instead of being always the strongest and the tallest. And now lately, also because I'm coming into those years, that I really need to pay much more attention to also how I eat, what I eat, and noticing that, yes, I'm happy for complementary medicine or even medicine as such and all the things that you can take from it. On the other hand, I'm not the one who's immediately jumping into everything and saying, I'm going to give it a try. I first of all check how I feel with it, and then I flow with it. That is what I learned over the last few years, and that helps me a lot.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Sandrine. And I think you actually, tapped into something really interesting, how we are not taught to communicate with our bodies or to even appreciate our bodies. And as you said, you're certainly not the only one. I can certainly absolutely appreciate what you're saying, because I also grew up in a family where there was such a high pain threshold that it wasn't I'm obviously not as tall as you, so it wasn't that, but it was like, we don't have time to have pain. There's much more important things to be done, and also don't be a wuss and get on with it. And and this was all this part of me, continuously, my body was continuously screaming then, but it wasn't heard. And they took me to the doctors and everything, but it was misdiagnosed 1,000 times, and just, there's a word in Austria where they say, oh, she's just hysterical. Hysterical. I think that was the first. Didn't Freud come up with that? Or, hysterical, and I certainly wasn't hysterical. I was in fucking pain just because they didn't find anything, and I think this was probably when I, well, much later, I went down the route, okay, well, there must be something else going on other than. But also the only thing they did administer was antibiotics. So that was a limitation at the time, And sometimes you gotta work together with the medical, doctors, if they so allow it. But the other thing you mentioned was the weight, and that has been something in my life that has always, my body, and we all know that the body goes into starvation mode. This is when we don't eat enough, the body goes into starvation mode, very much like that. But also the body puts on weight to support you.
Balance.
It's a protection mechanism of the body to bring up the weight. And this was basically why I started. I thought, why am I gaining weight like this? Am I still needing to protect myself from something? What is that? With all the work that we've been doing with emotional clearing and everything. And then, because that was my go-to, and then I would go and clear the emotional. There was always something there for me to clear. And then I felt good about it again. And in the last year, I have not been able to find anything emotional, but the body was still screaming, with gut. My thing is always gut. My go-to problems are always going into the gut. And I looked at the dreaming body and looked at all of that. And I've just really, when I got back from Turkey, I thought, okay, I have to listen to this now, because I can't figure this out myself. So I've just booked myself into it's a combination of a certain eating plan and what I am very fond of is lymphatic drainage. And, all the lymphatic drainage points, meridian points, go into the gut. And so I've just signed up on this program. It's 12 sessions. And there will be, what they're doing is it's a 32 pads that they apply. It's almost like a lymphatic drainage, a physical one, but done through electrolysis, So it's 40 minute sessions, eating plan, and, whatever coaching that is required. And, when I look at this, and I'm only starting on Friday, and it's a very strict 4-week program. And I saw the lady on Monday, and I'm already feeling, I already started, because I'm obviously dehydrated, not drinking enough water. I mean, who is actually drinking the amount that we need to drink?
Very. Very hardly.
And Jesus, I've been saying that to my own clients forever. You got to drink.
I'm the one who tries to drink, the 2 liters and more per day. And then I went to my nutritionist and I was like, I really tried to. And she's like, did you see how tall you are? And I said, yes. Well, you have to drink more. And I'm like,
just thinking that.
It's like, you have to drink more. You have to drink more. Drink. I just came today because this is something that I learned as well. I take my time to go for a lymph. It's sort of like a lymph drainage massage, but in a more relaxing way. So she actually does the whole body. And I do that now two times a week. I can pay it here because it is affordable, okay? Because in Europe it won't be, and there I would need to go through all the doctors and blah blah blah. Here it is absolutely affordable, and you know how much that helps me. it's a pain for me to take these 2 hours off my weekly schedule, but I'm doing it because I know I don't have heavy legs anymore. I'm feeling much better. She helps me also to drain out the toxin in view that I'm also losing weight slowly but surely still. And it's just wonderful, you know. And here again, she's also, the first thing she does when she touches my leg, she's like, you did not drink enough.
Yeah.
And I said, you also did not drink enough. And then we laugh. Because she also forgets to drink, you know, while treating patients.
Yeah, no, water is so, and what I've learned today, I had a quick chat with her today. I didn't know that before because, you know, nutrition has never really been, it's obviously too body related. I've always been more focused on the other side. And she actually said, when you get up, you actually get up and the blood sugar is very high when you get up because it rises while you're sleeping. So that's why the water, the lukewarm water with the lemon is very good. But start drinking at least 1 liter before you even have breakfast. She said about an hour between waking up and actually having breakfast, if you still do have breakfast. Yeah, so it's very interesting. And also the way what I'm following now is it's almost the opposite of what I've always done. So I'm going to keep you updated on this because it's going to, so there's fruit in the morning, which, doesn't really work for me. There is salad and soup, and have the salad before you take the soup. Do you know that? Oh, good on you. Because it creates the digestive enzymes,
Because in Asia, you eat the soup after you have eaten.
Right. So that's exactly what I've got to do too. And then the protein is in the evening.
Okay.
And the idea behind that is I did ask her because I said, most people say you shouldn't go back to bed with a full stomach, And she said, well, usually the heaviest meal makes you sleepy, right? So why would you take it for lunch? Just go when you go to sleep is the best time because you want to sleep. The body wants to sleep.
If you remain with the protein, there is no carbs in there, right, in the evening, because those turn into sugar again during the day.
There is carbs in there, but there is half of the plate is vegetables, and then you got the other half divided into rice or potatoes in my case. So that would be there as well. So it's something, it's a metabolic sort of eating plan.
Exactly. You have to check with your own. This is what I found out as well. I have another friend who's also on this, nearly on the same nutritional, it's on the low carb principle. Okay, low carb. So you have your carbs until lunchtime or just after lunch. And then after that, you should not have any carbs anymore. It is nearly impossible, but you should reduce it to the minimum for on that plan. Okay. So for me, for instance, the nutritionist, when we put it together, she said, I do also believe that you have a very slow metabolism. So she said, what is even better for you is that you sometimes don't eat at all anymore in the evening, but bring your body into this unexpected mode. Like, because I'm such a regular person in a sense, or my metabolism is very slow. She says you have to wake it up sometimes.
Okay.
So if you then stop doing what you usually would do and give him something completely different, like nothing, then see how I goes. But then she said that in the morning I should then really take the time to eat properly, to just fill up again, not like much, but just eat a decent breakfast then.
Yeah,
I have to say that I have tried it a few times, but it's difficult for my head. Even if I only eat 6 almonds, that would be already fine. It's just like it's still the monkey mind jumping around like, oh, you're starving us, so yeah. For my body, as soon as I starve it, or if I go on this diet, the first 2 weeks I didn't lose nothing. because my body was like, what are you doing with us?
Yeah.
No way, don't do that.
Yeah. And that takes us back into our generational lineages, because if we come from a lineage, where people have been starving, and lots of people in Europe, have been starving when we look at our lineages, and that just, my body's also is just absolutely not. If you think, I was thinking once to do one of those water, just ways, wouldn't let me do it at all. Not for me. So this one now, what I'm doing is like, eat as much as you can and eat more. So I'm not doing it for weight loss. I'm doing it basically for gut health, So we'll have to see. But that's just, again, why is this coming up? It's because I have ignored it. I've ignored it. This entire year I've ignored it until it got to the stage where I said, okay, that's it. And the interesting thing is now is, as I said, I'm only starting on Friday, but I already can't not do the water, or it's almost like, no, you got to do it. So it's, once you got to do something, you got to do it. And there's ease with it. So for 2 days, I haven't had a coffee now. I haven't had any sweets. And it's like, no worries at all. I got a bit of a headache, obviously, as it happens. But that might be more the sugar than the coffee, because I only have one coffee a day anyway. But it's for me, it's an exercise of grounding my body, healing, of course, my body. And it's a self-love exercise. And I'm wondering if we could look at, looking after our bodies from one of those self-love perspectives.
I think this is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Because how do you, it's always this, okay, it's funny to say you can only start loving somebody else if you have started loving yourself, and also what I'm picking up lately, there are a lot of these phrases that are coming at me from a few. I'm very keen on convergences, or the threes, as soon as the message comes up 3 times, even from 3 different directions, I'm like,
Okay.
let's see where this goes. So here again, I have the love that came up a few times the last few weeks, and also the one, not only the self-love, but the way to love, that it is, it is something that we are not being taught. We are not being taught how to love. It is just something, there is love, but what is it? What do you mean by that? How do we love? And that it is an art. In some poetry and some philosophy, also like from Erich Fromm, for instance, it's an art. He bases his philosophy around the fact that, loving somebody is an art. So you have to become a master in that art, and how do you do that? It's just by practicing it. How do you practice it if nobody knows really what it is? Then maybe we can look at some people, like for me, it's a little bit like, which sounds funny, but Maria Theresa, Sister Maria Theresa, I have always been in awe of that woman, this devotion to something, and I'm like, whoa, okay.
This is a great word, devotion. Devotion. Oh, she's gone. Okay. Yeah, she was driving. Tanya was driving. Devotion is such a good word that is part of what you're saying here, because that is such an integral part of love. And it's being in union with yourself and supportive of yourself, isn't it? Respecting yourself.
If you bring it to yourself, but many people, I have the feeling, do not bring it to themselves, but to something else, to either the devotion to a higher being, the devotion to a higher something, but not to the self.
Exactly. And this is, I think, why I'm so happy you brought it up, because I've actually had it written down as loving the self from a devotional perspective, because you're absolutely right. It's always more, considered devotion, especially to the higher sort of consciousness beings or something, being devoted because, oh, I'm not devoted, I'm independent, you know, I can't be devoted. Well, that's a misunderstanding of what devotion actually means. And I think it's a lovely way of, you know, because love, we talked about this before, is such a convoluted sort of energy, right? We don't really know what it is until we, you know, we say, okay, well, it's the basic basis of everything, but that's not enough either. So devotion is a lovely one to explore. Are you devoted to yourself? When you ask that question, what comes up?
Hesitance, because, you know, although I'm trying to, is it enough? Can I do more? Certainly, but in what way, you know, without going nuts, crazy, whatever, you know?
Am I devoted to myself? No. I'm getting just a no, like a hesitant no, like a no. What does that mean? Let's practice that, you know, let's practice self-devotion, respecting ourselves. I think we know what it's like in certain areas, because I've seen this with myself and with people that in some areas of their life, let's take job, career, right? Devotion, oh yeah, I get no hesitation when it comes to career or job, or, you know, when I think back when I had a job or career or what I'm passionate, that kind of thing, you know. But when it comes to the body, it's like, I don't understand this, you know, but it's equally important. And then go ahead.
Martina, but from my point of view, it's because the program that we have been going through, because you remember when you grow up, the last thing we have to pay attention is to our body. It's just to what the demanding on the moment, and you have to do your chores, you know, in the house, in the school, and your body was the last thing that we think about it. And myself, I had experience after I had done a lot of work on that, because I was abused, sexual abuse when I was little. I used to abuse my body, and it was like an automatic rejection myself inside me from my body. And I used to do, like, you know, a lot of work, like it was for men's, not for women's. And it was like a time to show that I was strong, and then in the same time I was abusing my physical body. And then 1998, I got very sick with my uterus. We were tilted to one side. I couldn't work for a couple months. And then I went through a healing process, because I went to the doctor, and I called one of my friends that he was a natural doctor. He said, well, Armenia, if the face that you have, because I was already set up for surgery. He told me, with the face that you have, you're going to do a surgery, and then you don't allow God, you know, at that time, to do the healing through you, and then show through your face your healing. I took that on in my heart. It felt me inside. So, oh my God, really, that's true. If I don't show that I had a face I can heal in myself, then how am I going to show other people? And then I was through to this 2-year process of healing. And I couldn't even work because I couldn't lift anything. I had to sleep in the floor because I couldn't sleep in the bed because I was feeling uncomfortable. And then suddenly one night I was feeling that desire to eat watercress. And I went about 8 o'clock at night to the supermarket and get 2 bunches of the watercress and fix it and put a lemon, olive oils, and some peppers. And I ate it like a whole bunch of that. And then the next morning I wake up, I was thinking I was dreaming, because I could, you know, get up from the floor. You know, I was not feeling that tiredness that I was feeling, and, you know, that weakness. And I said, I realized, oh, I'm feeling better. And then from that point on, it was like, you know, a process. Every time, you know, one of my aunts sent me get it over, you will see that it's very good for all that has to be with the system. Your what do you call reproduction organs, and then for the kidneys too. And then I went to the store, because one of my friends referred, I can give you a part-time job, because she knew how sick I was. And how sick I was to like, you know, like a dress, clothing store. I mean, I got, there was a natural food store. It was immense. And then I asked the guy, hey, by any chance, do you have something called biopsy? Because I was looking, I couldn't find it. And he said, yeah, we have it. If we don't have it, we can order for you. I said, really? Anyway, but not to make it so long, I got a job from the lady because she knew me from the hotel I used to work. And then I received everything that I need in that store free because I started working over there. And then was like, my body went through this process. One of my friends told me, you have to go through this process. You can take years, but if you want to feel it, do it. I went to the doctor just for him to check me. I told the doctor, I just wanted you to check how I'm doing, if it's okay. He said, no problem. I mean, it was a very good doctor because he was open to working with me, just monitoring me in the process. And I received all the knowledge about mixing vegetable, mixing fruit, and what to do every month. And it was fascinating because it was like a journey for me to hear. And then they had like exhibition. At that time, I didn't know anything about, a spiritual world or anything. It was a presentation about the craniosacral technique and all the stuff. And then I came inside. It was like a 3 days after I started working there. I opened a book that called Women Body, Women Wisdom. That's one of the more popular book from the 90s, beginning the 2000s. And when I opened the book, it was opening the uterus and the ovaries and all the cysts that you have. It was like they put me in the past. Listen, you gotta go this way. Because when I opened that book and I saw that exactly what I have, and in the side she had, the recommendation what I had to eat, the veggie that is important for the crucifix. The green veggie, all the stuff. It was like a journey process for 2 years. And then in that point, because my body went through that process, now I don't eat anything I don't feel that the body wanted. It's like a connection. For example, if I drink coffee, I can be 2-3 days without drinking coffee because if I think about the coffee, I feel right away the sensation in my stomach that doesn't want it. And it was a 2-year process, commitment. However, every time I was getting a little better, something else coming. Somebody told me about something else. And I learned in the store, helping other women that were coming, asking me for juice. I was doing the juice for them, and then I explained them the combination of the fruit and the vegetable, what to mix, what not to mix. And then it was satisfaction for me because I was through my healing process and was able to help other women. And from that I learned because this doctor, she mentioned that women going to the doctor and they just do procedure without find out why the women is suffering about the uterus or the ovaries. Is the emotion, all the challenge that women go through, all the drama deposited in those organs. And she explained about the cycle of the moon, the cycle of your menstruation. It's fascinating book. And I ended up giving that book to many women that can cross to me with the same issues. It was like, maybe life put me in that process to be able to helping other women, because if I didn't experience, I wouldn't be able to helping them, right? And then from that point now, it's like a connection with the body. The other day I was feeling I want to go to the soul tank because I was feeling that I had to relax for at least 1 hour. And I managed, it took me almost 2 weeks to make it over there. But I was feeling inside that I had to be in the soul tank. And it's like, I was talking about my friends. They said, if they teach us in a school when we are little, the power of the physical body, I don't think we will have so many diseases and so many war because we will understand to respect ourselves and respect others. Because the physical body is automatic magnificent machine with all the complement that we have to go through to, the nervous system, the digestive system, the lymphatic system. Everything is like a combination of magnificent machine working together for the body to be able to move. And I was telling them, that's one of my friends, if they teach us what really is the physical body, I don't see we have so much drama in this planet. We were laughing about that. It's fascinating that you coming with that because definitely we don't pay attention to the body, right? Because
Absolutely.
myself, I was all time, thinking go to the planet and going to the galaxy or go to the spaceship and nothing here. Yeah. It's like an dimension that we cannot go there if we are not grounding here. it took me months to be able to go back to my physical body. And I know there are either no clothes.
Yeah. Well, it's an ongoing journey, isn't it? But it sounds like that you've allowed yourself to be guided, and you had some very significant guidance, because getting up at midnight to get yourself some watercress, I'm super impressed. I would have said, shut up, not now. I'm super impressed.
That was the beginning of my healing, really. It was crazy to hear about it. Every time I was feeling something, coming something in that area. And then it was coming.
You know what, I'm actually thinking that it wasn't even the watercress. It was you testing yourself. Am I committed enough to do this?
It can be, yeah.
I'm always thinking this. So what's the watercress? Come on. I'm loving this. Oh, I have to learn something here, because I would not have done that. You would have done something. I know you would. I said, fuck it, shut up. I'm not doing this now.
And you know, there's a lot of very powerful fennel, the one that had look like an onion in the bottom. Yeah, I was feeling like, you know, like a reflex from my stomach to my throat. And suddenly one day I see that in the supermarket and catch my attention and grab it. I was craving for that. I chopped it in the lettuce. I chopped it on the food of when I was eating, and then I told one of my friend, I don't know why I so craving for this. I never saw this vegetable before, but it was kind. And she told me, well, that's very good for the stomach. It's people that suffer from, a flu reflex from the stomach, they used to take those tea, the tea for the seed. And I said, oh my God, now it makes sense. And it was like my body navigated me to what it needs in the moment. It was like
amazing.
Well, it was 2-year process.
Yeah, I love it.
Unfortunately, I'm always living in places where, at midnight there is nothing open, so
Would do it.
It would not have happened. But I would probably just have grabbed. Hi, Jen. I would probably just have grabbed Tiger Balm and put it somewhere where you're not supposed to be putting it, but it helps a lot. Tiger Balm is my go-to medicine for everything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I feel that what we really lead to, right, make a difference. If we believe in something, because
oh my goodness, sure.
Just with the tea that
what I love about your story, Herminia, is that you don't even believe in it.
No, it was
and
just
that's the thing. No, you didn't believe in that. You didn't even know what the fennel was. But
no,
the body said, go get it, and you did. You took action.
Follow the guy, without knowing. It came my curiosity. To grab it. It's I'll taste it, I was craving eating every day, and then that's it. It's got here from the stomach problem. It was like, oh wow.
Yeah. With proper practice, I've when I did Access, we were playing with the bodies quite a bit, and we were talking about the body, as you say, knows what it wants to eat. So sometimes when you're hungry, often you can test that out and just try. You can just go into a food shop and let the body guide you, and by the time you get out, you're actually no longer hungry, because he just needed the energy. That's it.
Yeah.
So but that requires a bit of practice and devotion. We're talking about food at the moment, and the devotion that is required to really respect the messages from the body. But this is the next level,
Yeah. Oh, because I said that the mind doesn't recognize what is truth and what is real, or like a physical. Like the people that practice sport, that they see the video, and the video, the body automatic adapt those the strange and the state that they have to do. Then in that case that you said, I'm going to see the food, then my body feel dissatisfaction, because going to the time and space, I'm already there eating the whatever I want to eat, right? In that moment when you see in the market.
Because there's spirit in the food.
We
are connected with
Mhm.
that spirit when we eat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jen, would you like to, before we move on from the food, is there anything that you would like to add from a food perspective? And, that kind of thing?
Well, I do listen to my body with what it wants. Like even as a kid, my body never liked meat. I never felt good when I ate meat. So I stopped eating meat when I was like 13 and I never went back. My parents still think it's a phase, but it just doesn't resonate with my body. I don't have any judgment or have any big ideals about it. Like I just don't like it in my body. And so I don't. And honestly, since I quit eating meat, I don't get sick. I don't really have any health ailments. I went through a little bit of time this winter where I got sloppy. Like I usually cook everything. I hardly ever go out to eat. And I started eating like canned soup and just easy stuff because I didn't have to cook for anybody other than me. And I got lazy and my body did not like all that extra salt. like I felt like SpongeBob out of water, right? So I had to give up on the canned soup and go back to I had to eat just like raw, fresh food for a little while until my body rehydrated. And then now I started cooking again, but I just kind of go with what my body craves. My body likes a little bit of sugar every day too. So like as long as I do a little bit, then I don't overindulge. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I like what you're saying, this cooking for yourself when you're only on your own. And, I spend a lot of time on my own now when Paul lives in Cyprus, and I've actually stopped cooking. And I think this is what really caused my body to start screaming, say hello, because I used to cook. I used to love cooking for other people, and I would just, eat whilst I was cooking. So for me, food has never been like, it's more the presentation, it's more the creativity of it rather than the taste itself,
Yeah.
But and of course I come from Austria, so we love spices, but not necessarily the fresh ones, just the dried spices. And, I would never have a barbecue at braai without having the meat spiced properly, but that comes out of the tin, as you say. There is so much salt in it, and I love salt. And apparently salt is really adding to the cravings, and things like that. And the other thing what I've learned today, actually, because I'm doing this health plan at the moment, is that the dried herbs, they cause inflammation. And that made me think like, oops, okay, because I use a lot of dried herbs.
and sometimes it comes down to how they're processed, because most of the herbs that I use came from my garden, and I wash them, I dehydrate them, I crumble them, and then I store them. They'll keep for a couple years. I usually keep them for 1 year because you don't want them to get molded and stuff like that. But most herbs that you buy from the store, they radiate in some way to kill off any germs and mold and retain their color. And I think that's more what causes.
Since I actually, all my herbs I only buy at organic shop. I go from time to time to an Indian shop and I buy, because there you can only get the curry vindaloo and stuff like that. But then because that one is so spicy anyways, that it kills off everything. So but then still I look, that it's really just the curry in there. That's not even salt or anything else mixed in there. So, but if you really go to the real Asian places where they have these mixtures are more or less already organic, let's say. But no, for anything that goes into my food, I usually go and try to buy it at the organic. I don't necessarily use all the vegetables from the organic shop because it's very expensive here. Here I go to the local market, and also because we live on an island, we are highly there's a lot of imported things. So I really just try to get the freshest I can so that it's still kind of alive. Let's put it like that. For food and to eat it, but it's
no, that's definitely an invitation for me. You talk about body talking to us, and it's a form of self-love, an invitation to cultivate more self-love, and
And what also I notice is that sometimes, especially, and that has happened when I'm in Europe, is like you just go to the supermarket and it's very easy because you have these single portioned and everything is already ready, and you just, you just grab that and you eat that and it's done. Just stop and read what is in there.
Yeah.
If it's not like a packaged fruit or vegetable or salad, fine. But if you look at everything that is even in the so-called, even in the organic shop, the so-called processed things, it's like, well, you start reading like, okay. No.
Organic doesn't mean chemical free. It just means that it fits in their parameters of what's allowable. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's quite pure. I find too that I don't want to eat as much. So like I don't know, the last couple of months I might eat once a day, but I need a lot more water. Like water feels more nourishing to me than it used to, and I don't want as much food in my body.
Lucky you. I'm trying to teach my body that for a long time already. Like,
Well, they say because our physical body changing, they said that we don't feel the need to eat so much like it used to be before, like sometimes it was like a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I even myself, I eat just like one heavy meal a day. And for breakfast, I do like citrus juice in the morning, and then I had like a little breakfast, make toast or something light at 11, and then I eat something about 3 o'clock, 4. And then after that, I don't have to eat anything, maybe like a little snack, something like that. But I don't feel the hungriness that, I used to a few years ago.
Yeah, I have a protein shake in the morning to get my protein out of the way, and then I don't eat until dinner time.
Yeah, it's everybody is unique. It's like we have to follow what the body really is. Really.
Absolutely, it's finding that thing that works for you, because what I'm hearing, I have to do exactly the opposite now with my eating plan. I got to do it in the morning. As I said earlier on,
you get to eat. Yeah,
I have to eat, apparently. Yeah. So
I can do steak, salad, and I can do that breakfast, lunch, and dinner, no problem. So
and the other thing that they mention is like, I lost my thought over there.
Sorry.
I was trying to say something. Oh, because the diets, why the diets doesn't work? Because they fix everybody in just one particular diet for everybody, and our body is so unique. And everything that the culture, the background that we're coming from, what we used to eat, our ancestor, all that stuff make a difference in our body system. And then they put the same diet for the same people with different completely complexity of body, and for me it makes sense. That's why the diets can work for a couple months, but your body go back to the same thing again. Because it's everybody unique body system with different information.
And the same actually works for exercise, which is obviously another element when it comes to bodies, to talk about exercise. Exercise is such a unique thing. And it depends on on your age and everything. But I think what's coming through with all these discussions about the body is to do not stress your body by not eating, by eating too much, by exercising too much, by not exercising. That in itself is an interesting contemplation. How do we know when the body is stressed before it actually starts screaming?
Well, I think, Martina, from my point of view, is that learn how to connect with our body.
Yeah.
Put in the front, before anything. I think that's the challenge that we have, because we have so many demanding for be alive that we don't think about the physical body that is the vehicle that the vehicle to keeping us here in this dimension. It's like if I go to the ocean, I need a specific suit to go under the water, and then this physical body is the one I need to be in dimension. However, because we are so disconnected, we don't appreciate it, and we don't pay the attention that it has to, that it's like we don't know our physical body.
But this is what we were saying, like in last time we started talking about natural living, isn't it? And you just talking about disconnection. We are so disconnected from natural living.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with, having or going to work every day.
Yeah.
Like sitting in an office. We've all done it. We're still doing it. That's not natural. There is very little that is actually still natural in this world. Even going to the bloody gym and on the running bed, that's not bloody natural. Even the fact that we have to take ourselves out and consciously go and work out 3 or 4 times 30 minutes. I always have to think about this. When I was little, we worked our asses off. Yeah, I was like washing the floors. I was in charge of washing the floors and washing the windows and this and that. Yeah. Time you were so knackered, or not even, because you were used to it.
Yes.
So much activity. You didn't have a car all the time. You had to walk. Or you
walk. Yeah. On the bicycle.
When I now wash my windows, I'm like absolutely flat out afterwards. Like, Jesus, because we have cleaners, we have this and that, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's just the realization.
Yeah.
What is still natural in this world,
Yeah.
And how does this impact on the body stress?
Yeah. Yes.
Is there actually a body out there that is not stressed, living in this unnatural environment?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You have to be disconnected from the society that we live in now to be just in that set. And the body is so magnificent because whatever we make the habit, you won't be able to do anything else after you do what you're doing with your body, right? Because, for example, myself, when I had going through a lot of stuff, and then I think 2006, that I was so depressed. I was so down that I sit down in the chair or whatever. It took me almost 6 hours to get out of the chair. And because my biggest struggles was not to take the clothes off, to take a shower quick. I knew I had to take the clothes off and then put another one. That was the big job. 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, sit down. And then I started doing some exercises, the soul siders exercises for tensegrity from the shaman from Carlos Castaneda. And I started doing it little by little. And then suddenly I started getting energy. That was, how much was that? Almost 18 years ago. And now I cannot even take a shower if I don't do exercises before, because my body gets set in that. If I don't do, I'm not able to function during the day. It's like, because it was a habit. I used it to survive myself again, to come back from the grave. However, it was the journey for me to helping my body at the same time, reintegrate the energy system. And then after I get the habits, I cannot get out of there. Because, it's a habit.
I'd say you could choose it. You haven't chosen it yet.
Yeah.
You could get out of it just like you got into it. You know what I mean? If it's a problem, but if it's working for you.
Yeah, I'll have to go reprogram again myself.
Yeah. But you see, this is interesting because Jen was saying, I used the MOT for Ministry of Transport. Now you came up with a different one. Which one did you mention? Ministry of?
Well, I do highway construction work, right? So like when we're planning out how we stage construction of a job, we have to maintain traffic. So we have maintenance of traffic plans. So when you said MOT, my brain automatically goes to maintenance of traffic plans. But it applies too, because you got to keep everything moving while you're building and growing something new around it. So like you could expand that concept into what we're talking about today.
Exactly. And you, Herminia, you actually just said that, So you had a good question. So how do we know when we need to take action? Like, let's take Herminia as an example. does she need to take action, or is it okay for her to do whatever she needs to do before she has a shower? It's
I
just
think this is,
yeah,
but I think this is for me, this is totally subjective. I mean, this is how, if she feels good to do that, then by all means, just continue doing it. I mean, if you would be starting hurting yourself because you, for whatever reason, you know, you have to quit something, doing something other that helps you to then do that, to then go into shower, I would say, you know, just have a look at that. But unfortunately, I need to leave you guys because I have another meeting. But I also think that maybe, you know, sometimes we are just missing, you know, how we should use this body actually, you know, the that comes with the instruction. No, I think, you know, we've been thrown in there. Yes, it's all about this experience, but maybe somebody should just tell, you know, like, not the 10 commandments, but like, be nice, be good, love yourself, and use this body, you know, to the fullest.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is what this is all about, right? We are creating that instruction manual as we go along, you know.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Love you guys. See you
Thanks,
soon.
Emily.
Have a nice one.
Thank
you.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
bye. So the question you asked it's a good question, you know. So how do we know when we need to take action? And it is, of course, it's a subjective one. But I think it's a good one to just ask occasionally, do I need to take action? Is something required here? Just like for me, when, you know, I've been having this gut issue for months, you know, and only now I'm literally taking action. I looked at bits and pieces, but, you know, there was a time when we have to take action. And funny enough, you know, intuitively, we know when that is. And very often it is when the body starts screaming. But once we take the action, it falls together with ease, you know?
Right.
It just comes together. And this was also with mine, because I did connect with the naturopath. But I didn't like exactly what she said. I thought, no, this is not it. Let's leave that. And then I was talking to a friend of mine. I've spoken, you know, we did the NLP course together in 2008. And his wife is doing exactly what I've signed up on now. So, you know, so it doesn't have to be the first time. So don't beat yourself up. Say, oh God, you know, I can't make up my mind. I can't make a decision. No, you do know. Your body knows when, what to do.
Well, it's priority for you in this moment to feel your body, to listen and to do what you do. I think it depends how we can, you know, classify it. It's important to do this now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I would almost say that the body should always take priority.
Oh yes, because if we don't have the body, we are not here.
It's always, it was more important to do other things, you know. So, yeah.
And
anyway,
that's so true, Martina, because everything that we experience is through the body. No.
Yeah. Well, without the body, we wouldn't be sitting here having a Zoom, right? This is the thing. I mean, the body embodiment itself is the most important thing. And this is all part of grounding. This is all part of self-love. This is all part of, you know, doing the work, the self-healing work, the sovereignty work, and all of that.
You know, I'm thinking about, well, I was starting to think about how when you were talking about exercising at the gym and stuff like that, like how much stress we put on the body and how that puts it in like a defensive mode, right? And when we're not eating well and we're not listening to the signs of the body, we're putting the body in a persistent state of dis-ease, which is how we end up with cancer and other things. But so I used to smoke, like I was a chain smoker, and I quit about 17 years ago. And the way that I quit was I read this book by, I don't know, Andrew Clark or something, and it was basically like going through and it tells you everything that the body does to adapt to be able to survive smoking. And it really put perspective in for me, like how resilient the body is, that you can inhale something so toxic and your body adjusts chemically to be able to survive it. I mean, it's got arsenic and all kinds of nasty stuff and smoking, but that's just another way that we put the body in stress, and it has to find a way to chemically and physically adapt to be able to survive that condition.
Yeah.
And smoking is, we all know that smoking is bad for you and can result in different diseases, but stress does it to us, you know, eating foods that don't resonate with us, anything that keeps us out of that natural balance, and not listening when the body tells you it needs you to adapt to something different, because we all need a little bit different. That state of stress that the body goes into, that really is where you get adaptations or mutations that can cause grander issues.
Yeah.
It is amazing the way the body does.
Yes. So I have to keep this crazy being alive. I have to cope with whatever I have to be done. Because the same thing with people that drink. They cannot survive without the drinking, because that's the only way they can, you know, hold the pain or whatever they're going through. I think it's like a matter of how strong will we have to be able to navigate it, or to be able to get out of whatever we have to go into the goodness of the physical body. And that's the big challenge.
And a lot of it is like Jen is saying, a lot of it is education. Because there's, you know, by reading that book and understanding what the body is actually going through and the whole mechanism and everything, how many people make that effort?
Yeah.
So we put it down to self-abuse, we put it down to addictions, and we put it down to, you know, there's too much stress in our lives, so we have to drink, we have to smoke, and then we de-stress, but we are actually not. We're just adding additional stress onto the body by doing it.
The sugar, you know, they have to eat a lot of sugar, all that stuff. It just try to cover up the pain that we have to go through, or the challenge, or if not the pain, the challenge that we go through too.
Well, they say that like smoking relaxes you, but it really doesn't. It's just that you're having that addictive response, and so when you give it what feeds that addiction, then it relaxes, plus it starves your brain of oxygen. But you know, like with alcohol, your body is in a state of stress when you're without it, and so if you give it to it, then it calms it for that moment. It's not that product itself is relaxing, it just calms the addictive response. And the chemical addiction to things really doesn't last very long. It's the mental addiction to things that really persist.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It's like a momentary stop for a minute.
Was an anesthetizing of whatever you don't want to participate in, you know. But I mean, that is self-abuse, you know. We are that's that vicious cycle, because we're putting ourselves in situations where we want to be, where we don't want to be in. We don't want to be in the situation. So in order to maintain participating in whatever we're participating, we're needing narcotics, you know, in order to remain there, instead of just taking ourselves out of obviously that toxic sort of environment, you know, or situation. And so sometimes it's just taking an action. You can work on yourself a lot, you know, to not smoke or not drink or not this and that. But there comes a time where it's the same like what we said early on. There comes a time where you have to take action, where you need somebody to just tell you what kinds of food to eat. And actually, apart from that, you need to eat them. You need to go through the experience of it, you know.
Yeah, you need a commitment and discipline and commitment at the same time.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, if you had a decision to do it, but you don't do I don't do the commitment
Yeah.
to do it. I had to be strong enough to go through, to follow through to the process. And that's. Mhm.
Go ahead, Armenia. I'm sorry.
No, I mean that's the challenge. That's all. Mhm.
There's alchemy too in the process of preparing your food. You know, like you give honor to preparing that food to feed your body. And so there's like an energy exchange in that. Now the love and the prayers, and as long as you're thinking those kinds of thoughts instead of, you know, bickering in your head while you're preparing your food, setting the energy of your food that you're about to intake too is part of the process.
Exactly. It's like, you know, communicating with the body, and then you start communicating with the bean and the carrot and, you know, the onion and everything you're putting together. And that is what actually spirituality is all about at the end of the day. It's acknowledging the spirit in everything, and then having that what I've written that word down. What was it? It's I like that word. Where did I write it down? Well, it's just listening without criticism. There was a word for it, but I can't. But this criticism, criticizing, how much do we still criticize our bodies? You know, how much is even when the body's in pain, we go into criticizing.
Yeah, instead to take action to make it feel better. What's wrong with my legs today? I don't know what's wrong with
what's wrong with you? You know, why are you so bloated? What the hell? What's going on? Yeah. It's got nothing to do with what I've eaten or what I've done or that kind of thing.
Complaining about the body instead of asking the body what happened, what I have to do to make you feel better. Oh goodness.
Girls, I've got some cards here about the body. And there's some questions on it. So I thought maybe we can do those questions. So, well, we can do all of them really, but let's just pull one of them and see what this is all about. So ask a question to change your life. Those are access. Somebody made those cards very much along the lines of what we are talking about. So body, do I think or feel that if I get rid of my body, I can get more? So let me repeat the question. Do I think or feel that if I get rid of my body, I can get more?
Well, I want to answer that two ways. I mean, I wouldn't get more out of the experience because I wouldn't be out of the body. Can I get another body? I mean, well, yeah, we keep coming back, but like, depends on how you look at that question in that moment.
Yeah. Because it's like kind of like a very far away. Because logical, if I don't have the body right now, I have to go through a whole process to get another body. Who knows how many years or years can be happen? You know,
these questions in particular, they would all be tailored to raising awareness rather than finding a conclusive answer.
Yeah.
And I think you know in this sort of group, we are already beyond that because we appreciate the embodied spirituality rather than trying to look for nirvana in another place, right?
Yeah, it's like a meaning like, okay, if I don't have the physical body, it's like a bring the awareness of what important the physical body it is.
Yeah. And also the understanding that we can take our physical bodies with us on the journey. It's a different understanding of our multidimensional avatar, which not everyone has just yet. So shall we ask another question? Okay, so what secret agenda with my body do I have that maintains and entrains that I cannot change? Choose or institute a different possibility. I'll repeat the question. What secret agenda with my body do I have that maintains and entrains that I cannot change? Choose or institute a different possibility.
Well, For myself, let's see, like the exercise I do in the morning. If I don't do exercise and I don't feel the energy during the day that I used to get every day, then if I change it, I have to do something that will recompensate that, right? And then if I have this connection with the body for what I eat, then I think it will become a challenge for me to go back.
So,
to-
you know, this very much goes into, is there a secret agenda behind all of that that you haven't considered yet, that if you would consider it, would create much more ease with the body? And again, doesn't have to be answered. It's one of those. Is there still a secret agenda with the body?
Well, that's like you hold weight to hide behind things, right? It's kind of that concept. Or I can't lose weight without doing super cardio stuff. Almost like what self-defeating habit are you looking at that keeps you from fully enjoying your body is how I might interpret that question.
Yeah, yeah. So just for yourself and whoever's gonna listen to the replay, just look for any secret agendas that you might still have with your body that maintains and trains, that I cannot change, choose, or institute a different possibility. I can think of something.
Like what?
Something like very secret, must be very secret, that it still keeps me grounded in a certain place where I maybe not want to be anymore. That could be secret agenda, you know, that's what bodies sometimes do, or we do, you know, our psyche really just projects onto the body. And then we need a little bit more time to make that choice. Okay, just sort out your gut first. Let's give you a little bit of gut issues.
He's talking about like a comfort zone.
Could be, could very well be, yeah. That's what I'm saying. These questions is you got to be honest with yourself, not with others. You know, you don't even have to share the answers, but some of those questions are quite good to, you know, ask some different. So what points of view do I have about my body? And do they belong to someone else?
Oh my.
Good question, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And I would almost say that majority of our points of views do not belong to us.
Oh no, because we are the social media always feeding us we was supposed to be good. Exactly.
Like,
let me write it down, that question, Martina. I'll
so
check it up.
What points of view do I have about my body? And now that's a nice little, you know, exercise to do, you know, just write down all the points of views that you have about your body. And then just who do they belong to? And often, you know, what happens is, oh, mum pops in, or dad, or neighbor, or God knows, a friend from school, or past life stuff. Lots of it is past life, because especially now in those energies now where we're living everything much more consciously at the same time. So, you know, I mean, think about how especially women bodies have been made wrong.
Misguided.
So many lifetimes we've had that. So that's a good question. Let's go through all of those. How much of how I view my body have I made significant? A little, a lot, or a megaton?
Of course, depending how I look my body, it will make a difference right away.
Yeah. It's that old thing about significance. Everything that you make significant, you reinforce, you concrete in, you know, and then you get stuck in it and can't get out. Because at the end of the day, and this is, you know, as much as everything is I just want to make so these are access consciousness cards. I just want to make I don't know where I bought them at the time. There is no particular Anyway, that's that. Just want to make a note of that. So yeah, that significance. And look, I've worked with this shit. Now, don't make it significant. And it's a double-edged sword. You got to watch out for that, because I'm a big fan of these questions, and I've been living those questions. I don't make it significant. It's okay. Just move on. Not significant. And at some stage, sometimes it is significant too, for different reasons, and this is where we have to be like you said, MOT, we have to be able to move, to be flexible, to know when to make something more significant enough to take action or not. So another question would be, where have I decided that my body is a wrongness?
I used to think that about it before, but now not anymore. I feel, that I have the obligation to take care of my body, my physical body.
Yeah. Having said that, I'm like, what's wrong with my gut? What's wrong with my digestive system? It's a wrong question. And the level of awareness that we add, we can no longer ask questions like that. Because remember, words are magic.
How can I that, or how can I feel my gas better? What can I do for my
How
gut?
can I assist you? What is it you require?
What's that about?
What's it about? What can we do together? Let's work on this together.
Yeah.
And I know all this. And sometimes when you feel like shit, you say, what's wrong with this? So this is just a reminder. We know all that. Just a reminder to speak kindly to our bodies and really choose our words.
Yeah. I think you have to come in the awareness or appreciation, right? Recognize that and realize that everything I have, it has done through the physical body. And then this physical body is a magnificent tool for me to be navigating in this experience. And then first of all is the physical body. And then if I realize that, I will looking forward not do anything that damages the physical body, because it's precious. If I don't have that awareness that without this flesh and bones, I don't have anything, then it will be like, master, good morning. Good morning, my master body. Maybe that would be the approach that we have to be expressing myself.
Well, especially until we get that required balance going. We no longer judge it, we no longer criticize it, and we actually nourish and nurture it the way it needs to be nourished. You can take this to a completely the opposite level as well, and just we have seen this, and we see this a lot as well, where people are just, but even that is not an appreciation of the body. It's more like, I need to have plastic surgery, and there's a wrinkle there, and this and that. There's really finding that balance. But I think, lots of us, I speak for myself, I've definitely neglected my physical body. So much so that the majority of my life I haven't been in it.
Yeah, but I think that's happened for
to be outside of it.
But Martina, that's not only you. I mean, I'm in the first row too.
This was part of why I wrote this book, because it's so easy to not be in the body.
Yeah.
And you have no idea. But also it's a lack of acknowledgement of your spiritual capacities and time traveling capacities at the end of the day.
Yeah. And because we have not taught to appreciate our physical body and feel gratitude for, then we are never satisfied with the body. Because the one that is tall want to be short, the one that is short want to be tall, the one that have big, breast want to small breast, the one that has small breast want to big breast. It's like it never ends. Nobody's satisfied because we had this image of what has to be good, that we don't feel the gratitude and the appreciation that I have this body that is fortunately normally that I don't have any disease. I can see with my eyes, I can hear with my ear, I can talk. And then it's so many things that we can pointing out, and we will start like feeling the gratitude.
Well, gratitude is the antidote for everything.
So I was looking at my hands this morning about a little over a month ago. I don't hurt myself very often, but I made a dumb mistake. Like I was putting out mulch and I had bought a bench to have a nice place to sit in my backyard, stuff like that. So I'd been doing yard work, and I was done for the day, and I was putting everything back in the shed, and it has like a roll-up garage door. And I should have just closed it from the inside and come out the door, but I didn't, I closed it from the outside, and I looked back to check on the puppy to make sure he hadn't run off, and I grabbed it in the wrong place, and I squished 2 fingers between the panels.
Oh my.
It was very painful. Both the fingernails were loose and bleeding, and I mean like instantly bruised. So yeah, I kind of went through that process. I texted a friend of mine who's a nurse, do I need to go to the ER? And because usually there's no point, and she said no. I was gauging my body's response to things. Like they were bleeding, so they were losing the pressure, and like I could feel that I had feeling in my fingertips, and I could move my fingers, so I knew they weren't broken. I didn't have nerve damage. And it took a while, like watching them, I was keeping it clean and soaking it in Epsom salt and iodine and hot water and doing an oil mixture that I had made. But just to watch the process of like those nails detach, and I've got new nails growing in, like the body's ability to regenerate itself.
Mhm.
I understand why we call it like the DNA skin suit technology, because it really is amazing how the body rejuvenates itself.
Yeah.
So like under those dead fingernails were new fingernails that were growing, and I'm like, they're not very pretty right now. They're gonna it's gonna take about another couple months for them to grow all the way out, but
Yeah.
it's amazing what the body will do. It really is. So like to have that gratitude that it will fix it.
Wow, that's a wonderful. And it happened to me something like that. I was working in a place, and the tennis shoes were very tight, and because I required to be black, at that day I don't have to go to the store, and I use it. And I didn't realize it got like almost black. I didn't notice like the Thursday. I even took a shower a couple days. I didn't notice. When I noticed it, it was like I was losing my big toe nails. And then I remember one night I said, we gotta fix this. I just said in my head, and then I put a little salt and honey like for 3 nights straight. And then I keep saying, we gotta fix this. And then suddenly I saw that the nail that was black was coming up. And when I looked down, it was the new nails. I said, oh my gosh.
Magic.
Thank you so much. I was so happy. I couldn't believe it myself, because sometimes you say something and you don't really believe it. I told myself inside, we gotta fix this. And it was like, wow. I was so happy, and became brand new nails, and very nicely. It was, wow. It's amazing. We don't know what we have. Definitely, that's my thought.
True. That's true. And in addition to that, actually, Jane, you can do some healing on it. Apart from, just send, do like healing, bring you back to its blueprint.
Well, I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done light language over it, and I've done Reiki over it, and I've pulled out the pain and the trauma and stuff like that. So I do that.
Okay. Well, then
through the emotional stuff too, because I'm like, well, I can always get nails tattooed on if they don't grow back. Like, I don't know.
That's a way to. That's a lovely way of not making it significant, but at the same time doing whatever is necessary, whatever you've got available to you, you know. So if we now just pull that belief that it's going to take a couple of months, then it might be all done by next week or before.
Yeah, it's a magnificent machine. Wow.
Just like with your gut,
Go
once
ahead.
you get things back into balance, it'll go back to factory settings and be great. Just a matter of restoring balance there.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I was Abe was saying in one of the shows, I think it was the Atlantean one. I watched the show about Atlantis, and
Mhm.
he said there that the weather pattern will regulate itself when all the people get out of the emotional turmoil
Amazing.
or, you know, domination and control and all of that. I'm like, this is so beautiful, such a great reminder, because it's really all about balance. Once we get out of all this hoo-ha, everything around us and within us is going to just be grand, beautiful, joyful. Do you guys want to do a couple more?
Sure.
I've got some time. Okay, so what is the value of never being bluntly honest with myself, as me and for me?
Hmm.
It leads me back to my secret agenda in my particular case.
Yeah.
But there's always a value. And even if we say, well, you know, lies, there's always a value behind all of those, right? And we start digging a bit deeper then. So it's a really good question. What value is there that I'm not acknowledging? So what is the value of never being bluntly honest with myself, as me and for me? Obviously, with regards to our bodies.
Yeah. Well, it's what you said, that how much you appreciate it.
Yeah, and delaying tactics at times. You know,
Mhm.
we have so many little interesting, intricate ways of delay.
Yeah.
Being honest with each other, with ourselves.
Waiting,
So,
waiting for tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow.
yeah.
And then
Again,
tomorrow.
you know, I appreciate all of that from a soul agenda. That's my excuse all the time, because from a long-term agenda, from a soul perspective, it doesn't have to be this lifetime, right? That's such a good excuse for me. It's like, it's because, you know, this is, again, body and soul need to work together as well. Because
What?
sometimes the soul dominates the body, and sometimes the body thinks it's the soul.
Yeah, and why to leave for next one round if you get a better opportunity to go to different round, then you have to come back here because you didn't do it.
Exactly. That's a good way of looking at it. Exactly. So what if I considered my body a toy? Am I playing with it, or is it sitting on the shelf rotting?
That's a very deep one.
How much more can we play with our bodies? I think
I could go take some.
I need to play more.
I was thinking to go to take some dancing class to bring my energy or happiness in my body again, because it's challenging with that one.
Fantastic. Good idea. Fantastic. Yeah, there's definitely stuff.
Get you with other people too. Like, it's so comfortable being by yourself that, like,
Yes.
but it's just so stable, right? I mean, it's just comfortable. It's not really joy and
Yeah.
fun and elation and laughter. It's just like cozy.
Exactly.
It's a good idea.
I had
And
that. Who did I have this conversation about with? Because, you know, I mean, I think we're becoming, well, speak for myself here. I'm becoming a master of being on my own, as you say, Jen. You know, I'm just on my own. You know, you got your dogs, I got my cats, I got the garden. So I'm never on my own anymore, because I'm now talking to everything. You know, But having said that, and for me, I can even go so far to say it's cozy, it's joyful. It is joyful, but it's not fun. No,
Yeah.
it's also fun, but the fun and joy is something different. And it took me a long time to appreciate the value of joy, because I didn't understand it at all. First, I worked on fun. I didn't understand that at all. Then I worked on joy, and I thought, oh, it's so nice to be joyful now. And now I'm like, fuck, I need to go back to fun now. So it's like interesting.
Yeah, because the tricky, I was thinking about it myself for the dancing class. I did that in 2013. I was in Lake Tahoe. It was a crazy thing I went to do over there with a nightmare. And my way to get out of that song was, discouragement, leave behind and, mistreating, all that kind of crazy stuff. And I decided to go to take one, they had a club that I do dancing class. And I engaged in the dancing class to force myself to laugh and looking for hope. And I'm so glad I did it.
Yep.
Because that gave me the energy to just, shake your hands, shake your legs, and then keep going. I was in very, very, how I can go back after all this, how I can go and start again, all that thing. And then when I went to that music dancing class, it was so good. And I signed for the class because it was Zumba. And I was thinking it was like a Brazilian dancing. It was a mix of everything. However, it's, seeing all these women laughing and, everybody moving and nobody care about what you're doing, just having fun. That brought me back again to, to feel the joy. But it was like, wow. $35 per hour, it was worth it. It was nothing.
Yeah, so we can't. This is the thing. And also we have, rotting on the shelf is not an option, ladies.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Yes.
Hiding in a comfortable home is not an option anymore.
It's not worth it, because even if I can share with somebody else that is over there, somebody that needs support, and just sharing one another, in line, lining up ourselves, right? Because we support somebody that you sit down, somebody you can see in the face or something, or go through a challenge. If you share with them people, then you give it, just listening to those people, you open a channel of, compassion and the love. And then it's like a brightness around everybody. Everybody get benefits.
Absolutely. So it just came to me, selfless listening.
I'll write it down, that one.
And I think this is also where Rudolf Steiner said it. I listened to Rudolf Steiner today, and he talked about selfless listening, because that is the path to higher, knowledge and everything. And of course, this rotting on the shelf thing, of course, we're not rotting. We're quite happily where we're at, but that's not what we came here for. And that's the reminder. We are supposed to be peacekeepers, peacemakers. And yes, we can do a lot of stuff whilst we're here, but we are supposed to be this urban shaman, right? And that means we have to get out. So we've come down from the mountain, our little retreats up there, monkeys. Yeah. Now we're here, now we're hiding in our lovely homes behind our pets. And it's like, oh.
That's very easy. The real master is the one that is in the suburban outside to the cave, and then goes through the city and get out alive, right? Oh, I went to the city, I came back alive. I was able to navigate through the people that are running in the street, shouting, and the music and all the craziness, and I survived. That is the master.
I was listening to Steiner, and he said, if you do one thing towards your higher evolution of consciousness, you got to do 3 things in your physical, what you're actually doing, your job. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake, now I got to start cooking. I can't. I thought I was over this.
I joined a yoga studio in January, and I was going about 4 times a week. And my favorite class, like they have Kundalini, they have all kinds of ones, but there's one that they had twice a week called Buddha yoga. And it was like high impact yoga to like Metallica and Red Hot Chili Peppers, like my kind of music. And you don't usually pair like the Zen kind of stuff with that high octane music. I really loved it. And I quit going because I got that puppy at the end of January. And it's hard to be away from the house too long. And I had that guilt of leaving him in his kennel and stuff like that. Well, he's finally like at the point now where he's pretty sustainable for a longer period of time. So I was about to re-enroll. Herminia just inspired me to do that again, because just being out and having that fun and having that physical challenge of pushing my body a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be 4 times a week. Start with 1 time. You know what I mean? Because the body wants diversity.
Yes.
Most bodies want diversity. And I think anyone says that mine is just a comfort being and wants to be at home all the time, then it's either the program speaking or there's another, secret agenda behind that.
It's a body is what do you call a comfort zone that keeping us in the same loop.
I know we don't grow in the comfort zone. I mean,
exactly.
I'm not advocating, turmoil and contrast of significance, but So we got 4 more girls. We have, what if my body was not the ultimate limitation? I think we are good with that. What invention am I using to defend the body weight, mass, and density that I'm choosing? No, I'm not defending it. I'm actually judging it.
Yeah.
Equally not good, but
Yeah.
Okay, nowadays I defend that do sometimes. I said, no, well, it's a protection mechanism. Protected from what?
Yeah.
Little lie that I'm buying. Don't need to protect myself from anything. Okay, let's let that go, right? Have you got one? Anyone to defend?
To defend the body.
What invention am I using to defend the body weight, mass, and density? Density, yeah. So if it's not the weight, then it could be the density. Oh, I'm not light frequency enough.
Well, I right now I have like almost 10 pounds more than my usual weight. And I guess it's because having a lot of stressors in last year. However, it's not like from really eating much, because I don't eat that much. Maybe it's how the body, accomplishment itself to hold the stress.
Okay, is this an invention or is this truth?
It's the truth.
Okay, good. This is of, this is, yeah. If it's the truth, it's the truth. That's it. It's the truth. What if my body is more aware than I am about what works best for it?
Oh, yes, definitely.
That's a 3 times yes from us.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, that's a similar one, but slightly different. So what secret agenda with being me do I have to maintains never perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving all of me?
Agenda.
Secret agenda with being me do I have that maintains never perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving all of me? I know mine. I'm too much.
Well, for me, I feel like if I had to rest for a half day, one day, I feel like a guiltiness. I have to be doing something.
Right.
I think that one is catch me.
I have that, and then I have the unworthiness program, right? Like, yeah.
I think we all have that one.
So let's take all of those programs, spoken and unspoken, and destroy and uncreate them. So
yeah.
sender, right?
Yeah.
Because that's certainly not ours. Because they're infinite
Transmute,
beings, remember?
transform, and recreate it.
And if you do any fires tonight, that's gonna go in. And
Oh,
if
yeah.
just do a mental one. If you do a real one, of course, much better.
I can to put a lot of fire. I can to collect the wood in a few minutes.
Okay, my ladies. Fantastic. Well, thank you for making an effort, because I know it's a nice day outside and it is solstice and everything. But thanks for coming on and for chatting.
Thank you.
Good chat. And the
Okay,
recording's
bye-bye.
gonna
Have a
go
good
out,
one.
yeah?
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye,
Bye.
Jen.
Bye-bye.
Bye.